Good morning, Steve.
Oh, Dan, I didn't see you there. Acting. Good morning, Dan.
How are you?
I'm lightly caffeinated.
Lightly caffeinated. I've already gone from coffee and moved on to Coke for the morning.
You said you were up early because of your beautiful dog.
Yes, Jolene, my little potato dog I got a few months ago, is now 40 pounds.
A whole bag of potatoes.
Yeah, she runs the house for the most part now. So,
How are your cats? Are they comfortable with the new world order?
well, we've got Ruth, who loves to play with Jolene, and they're fine. And then, but Angel Sparkle Glitterheart just lives upstairs where Jolene doesn't go. So.
Gotcha. And was that a situation before Jolene's appearance, or?
Nope, she decided she'd live up there once Jolene showed up. So,
Oh, all right.
So she comes down at night and eats, and then goes back up. Good morning, David. How are you? Thanks for joining us. We're just talking about pets, and Steve has two cats. One cat.
One cat.
One cat.
One cat. My editor, Doris. He's a great cat. He wasn't initially named Doris, but he has that face makes you go Daw, and that became Doris. So that's what I get.
Okay. That's better than Angel Sparkle Glitterheart.
It's right. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's what happens when your 5-year-old names your cat. Yeah, that works too. Angel Sparkle Glitterheart is a D&D character. Obviously a tiefling. Bard. Okay. Steve, how the hell are you and who are you other than lightly caffeinated?
My name is Steve Conley. I write and draw the webcomic The Middle Age, and I create TTRPG content. The webcomic The Middle Age you can read at middleagecomic.com. It's on Webtoons, Tapas, and Go Comics, and on my own website at middleagecomic.com. And I make TTRPG content, including Death Dealing and Intoximancy, and the upcoming Metadomain Cleric, which you can learn more about at prayershandbook.com. The concept of that one is, what if a cleric thinks this is all just a game? And so far, it's been well received. I think it's 150 people signed up for when it goes live, and it's only going to go live once the final Death Dealing loot has been delivered. So I feel like that's a good policy to have. And yeah, it also gives me a good excuse. Hey, here's your stuff, and consider this new campaign, that sort of thing. So kind of hopefully create some momentum. But that's who the hell I am. Who the hell are you, Dan?
I am Dan Taylor. I am a creator of TTRPG content, D&D stuff as well, and I am supposedly a professional dungeon master since I've gotten a paycheck for it because I do it on stage live at comedy clubs with a little program called Catacombs and Comedians, where I dungeon master stand-up comedians who more or less know how to. No, they don't know how to play. It's a shit show, and I also dabble in comic books as well.
And you have an upcoming Catacombs and Comedians variant show coming up in less than a month?
At Gamehole Con, I will be doing Catacombs and Comedians presents Catacombs and Creators, featuring 4 of the industry's wonderful creators of Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop RPGs and cartoons about tabletop RPGs and stuff like that. So that will be at Gamehole Con, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I will have a sort of module available for people who are interested based on the adventure that I'll be running at the show, Flagon, the Dragons, Fungin. Steve Musgrave is currently working on some spot illos for it.
Wow, that's great.
So, so that will be an official Catacombs and Comedians product. I don't know, zero level media. I run so many conglomerates and whatever. So other than that,
is that something you're going to sell at the live event? If you enjoyed that, get the book.
Maybe just have a link for it to get it down on drive-through, because I don't know if I'll have a physical time to get a printed copy available
right
before then. But it should be available at catacombsandmeetings.com.
And it'll be something on your Patreon too, right?
Probably, or at least through drive-through. But I do have. You were the first person to sign up for the mailing list for the 4D20 system. when I can announce when that's coming out. So yes, you can sign up for the mailing list for the 4D20, the cannabis-inspired fantasy role-playing game.
Wait, that's about cannabis? You're
Sure.
very subtle. They're very subtle with the website.
Yeah, it's what do I call it? A stoned and spliff and sorcery role-playing game.
part of the Dan Taylor Skunk Works.
Yeah, and no, I thought it would be fun to use 420 in a 4D20 type thing. So I'm developing a whole system and game based on that.
And you said, and that's a beer and pretzels. Let's say beer and pretzels game. Is it meant to be like a one-shot thing that you sit around a table playing one game, or is it a system that you go, this is a campaign?
Both. I'm looking for both. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's going to be kind of a simplified RPG type. I say simplified, but the more I work on it, the more I'm like, oh, this is you got it. No one stoned is going to be able to play this game. It's not Palladium level or GURPS Crunch, but it's simple. You roll 4d20s and depend against a target number, and depending on how many rolls are below or above that target, or how many dice of those 4 are above or below that target number, depends on how well you succeed. That's the basics right there of the game. The hard part's coming up with how the fluff interacts with it and everything like that. So
wow,
I'm having fun researching and working on that. But I will have stickers for the 4D20 available at Gamehole Con. So
well, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm excited because it seems very daunting to me. I mean, I thought it was daunting that DC Bradshaw was able to come up with Little But Fierce, kind of a SRD 5e version for kids. That by itself seemed like a massive undertaking. The idea of cooking up a system, like you said, I like the idea that you're talking about how it's simplifying it down for people who might be slightly incapacitated.
Yeah.
Like how do you balance like skill checks and stuff like that? Is there a previous game you've played that you're going for that feel, or how do you even begin to take a bite?
Well, since it's 4D20, I'm kind of leaning on the D20 aspect, so to speak. So like, there's four ability scores, body, mind, soul, and spirit. And each one of those will give you a negative or a plus to succeed on the dice you roll. And you have skills, and those will give you a plus. So like if you're sneaking, you maybe use your either body, or because you're dexterous, or you will use spirit because you've got the gumshot, the moxie to sneak. And so let's say you've got +2 in sneaking and +2, or you get a +1 because of your spirit, so that's +3. So let's say the game master, the green master, I might call him. I just came up with that. I have no idea. The reefer, instead of the referee, the referee. No.
No, I mean, it hurts, but I kind of approve.
And so let's say the target number is 12. You get your +2 and your +1, so that that knocks it down to 9. So you roll your 4d20, and if none of them are above 9, you fail horribly, or 9 or above. If 1,
gotcha,
you partially succeed. 2, you succeed
with a complication. Yeah, sure.
Blah blah blah, like that.
Dice pool stuff. Yeah.
But I got to do it all. 4 is an automatic. All 4 above is a critical success, and
wow,
you get something. Exactly, the referee. I think that is what we're going to officially call it.
something done.
So that's the basics of the game.
And you said it's a fantasy genre, right? You said it's going to be. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then maybe I'll do a sci-fi version or a post-apocalyptic.
That's Red Dwarf, I think.
But it's called, it's high fantasy with the emphasis on high.
It hurts, but
come on.
I approve. Yeah,
that was the original title of the game, was high fantasy.
Was it really?
In fact, that might be it.
With the 4D20 system.
Exactly, high fantasy with a 4D20, and then there'll be high sci-fi.
Nice.
And I don't know, post-apocalyptic. I got to come up with something like
You're gonna spin off 5 spin-off products before the end of this episode.
Exactly, all pun-filled and painfully punny. Yeah. So that's that. That's 4D20. I will have the stickers available at the Catacombs and Comedians show, giving them out as I walk around. Maybe put a few on your table.
And you have a dedicated URL, right?
Yes, 4D20system.com. And you can sign up for the mailing list there. And it's got a little image of the current logo for the 4D20 system. So I should, I don't know, put that in a link somewhere.
That's excellent. That's ridiculous. I approve. Will there be now? Last we talked, you were kind of shying away from crowdfunding. Like you thought maybe focus on, well, not more like shying away from campaign style crowdfunding and maybe focusing on the subscription based crowdfunding like Patreon and things like that.
Yeah, with 4D20, well, I might do a crowdfunding on that. Just because I think, and I might try the backer kit this time.
Okay.
Since they've opened it up to everything. I'm tired of Kickstarter. Zoop. I tried that with the comic books. And guess what, Steve? I got the list of backers.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
I got all my information. Of course, it came at the most horrible time as I'm getting ready for live Catacombs Comedian show this Wednesday at Knoxville. And then I've got to get ready for Gamehole Con. Because I still got to cross T's and dot I's to get the product to the printer, and I don't know how that's gonna, how long that'll take. But anyway, I hope to have the PDF off to all the backers this week.
Well, that's awesome. So you use Zoop, and you said you had like a kind of a pretty good experience, but also like with some asterisks, like there was some.
Exactly. I didn't have as hands-on as I want. Like I didn't know who backed my product until I got this Excel spreadsheet from them.
Wow.
Have
you gotten the money yet? I know you mentioned that there was like
you know what? I said they sent it to either your PayPal or your Venmo.
Oh, I see.
I haven't gotten a notice. I don't know if I've got the money yet, to be honest. I haven't checked.
Wow, PayPal or Venmo. Okay.
So I don't know how much they're going to take out of it for me live. On that, I mean, how much they're going to take out. If there's if they send me Venmo, they're going to take out 6% or whatever.
Right. Even though, so the platforms will take some.
The platform took 10%. I mean, Zoop did for doing, and which is fine. Here's the good thing about Zoop: I didn't have to. They promoted it as well as I promoted. They did all the hassles. They did all the things. And just gave me the list. I didn't have to chase down the delinquent. And that's what was holding it up. There were one delinquent backer, and they just kept emailing this person, and I'm like, well, who's the person? It turned out to be a girl I work with. I said, so I yelled at her. I said, fix your credit card so they can send me the list. And that was the deal.
That's wild. I always, with my Kickstarters, there's always a handful of people whose credit cards don't go through.
Yeah.
But that doesn't slow them down from processing the rest of it. Would you recommend Zoop to other comic creators?
Maybe.
Okay. Qualified.
I don't know. Yeah. They do it two different ways. They do one where they handle the printing and really do all the distribution and take care of everything, or they just run it for you, and give you the list, and then it's your headache.
Right.
That's what they offered me because I wasn't a big enough name for them.
Apparently. Oh, I see. So if you have to have some sort of threshold for them to do fulfillment.
Even at the beginning, I mean, they'll do it like they did Jason Copeland's Full Tilt game, or not game, but comic, and they took care of everything. So I thought they were going to do that for me too, but I did not do it. So they said, "Oh, well, this is what we'll do for you, Dan. We will put it up on our site and then give you everything to deal with."
Gotcha.
So originally, so I've got my numbers. So now it looks like rather than print and have Kablam send them out, I don't have huge amount. I've got 80 some odd backers.
Right. So
I'm just going to handle the distribution myself. I'm just going to have them print it, the covers. It's about a total of all the different covers. And I had that get all 4 variant covers. And then I also had a couple retailer bundles. So total, it's only about 144, 155 individual issues.
Wow.
So
then 80 orders, pack up 10 a day, and you're done in a week.
Yeah. I mean, and that's 80 orders total. That's some of those are PDF only. So
Oh, that's nice.
So
I love those.
it might be just 60, and some of them are people at work, some are friends in the neighborhood. So again, that's all mail. I don't need to mail out. I'll just drop it off on their porch or.
Yeah, that was nice. When I had that feeling, I'm like, hey, anyone's going to be in Baltimore, I could just hand deliver stuff to. That's awesome. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to have the book in my hands. Congratulations. And
Yeah.
Zoop did seem like they were the most flexible to work with company I've heard about so far. The idea that they talked about 2 different ways of distribution, which is neat, and the idea that you could talk to them about it. And then as a deadline approached, I know they worked with you again, which unheard of. I mean, Kickstarter is not going to give you a call and say, "Hey, how would you like to go forward?" Like,
yeah.
So it's
because it's still a smallish operation, so they want to succeed because they want their cut. They don't want all the work to be done and then just on their half and go, "Oh, we didn't make it."
Right.
So they did contact me when we were getting close, and they said, "Hey, do you want to just call it now and collect the funds, or do you want to extend it a little longer?" So I opted to extend it a little longer.
And hit the goal. That's awesome.
Yeah, hit the goal by like $16 or something like that. So I will just I'm gonna work. I've got to get between that and my next couple of days are busy between getting ready for Gamehole Con. Because I'll worry about Wednesday night's live show in Knoxville, Tuesday night.
I think Sly Flourish would approve.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I totally use his lazy dungeon master style to put my shows together, because the more I think about it, the more I go, I don't know, but if I just, oh shit, I got to do it before tomorrow night. So
right. How often when you're doing and you set up these comments, sorry, I don't want to leave the crowdfunding topic, but if you've got more to talk about that, but I'm really interested about when you're doing Catacombs and Comedians, how often does the show stay anywhere near the initial rails that you might have set? Like, I know these are new players, so you have to kind of handhold them a little bit. But when you're sitting down and say, okay, here's what we're going to do tonight, how often does it just veer wildly off in some direction?
I used to really write up the script and story in detail, and this is how it's going to go, boom, boom, boom. And then I learned very quickly with these live shows that doesn't work. So what I ended up doing now is it's kind of a loose outline. And it just, I just do key points like, boom, 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 3, 4, I don't know, in scenes for the show. And then if they try to go a different direction, I say, no, you just go this way, and I don't give them a lot of options anymore.
Right.
I say this, okay, so you leave that room and here's the next room. I don't give them, okay, there's a hallway. What do you go, left or right? I don't do any of that bullshit. Just here you go.
If the audience doesn't want to watch a bunch of people sitting around going, okay, tell me about what the hall smells like, or how much of these setups are you writing it like, okay, here's an adventure versus here's what Drew Carey and whose line is it anyway? Like, how much of it is like, this room is a setup? This room is just hitting up a setup for a spike by one of these guys, or like, this is going to let them riff for 20 minutes.
That's pretty much what I do. I come up again heavy on the puns, and stuff like that. And like the Flag of the Dragon's Fungin is a good example. Like, I've got, instead of a pit of balls the kids play in, I got a pit of skulls. I've got a bounce room that's kind of a large fungus-filled chamber mushroom type thing. For this new adventure for Gamehole Con, I'm adding a petting zoo with the, with our unofficial mascot, the foul boar.
Nice.
So stuff like that. And I just, I don't draw the map out and say, this is, I go, okay, here's the first room. Boom. Okay, you finish that room. Then it leads to the next chamber. Boom. Okay, you finish that one. So it's just, and then the real comedy involves if the character or players come up with something fun to interact with or interact with each other. And I just sit back and let them riff on each other for a while.
Do you feel you have to give the players at Gamehole Con, because they're not comedians? I mean, we met Matt Forbeck here on the show. Very funny, and Kavalik is clearly going to be pretty great.
I've got no problem. I think they'll probably, it may be a funnier show than when the stand-up comedians do it.
Excellent.
So because stand-up comics have a certain, they're not used to it, but we've all been, jokesters at the D&D table
Right.
when we play. So I think it's going to be very much in line with that. So I'm looking forward to it. There are plenty of tickets still available. I don't think anybody knows exactly what we are yet. So
Yeah, I think I was at a lot of events. Some of the ones that only had like 4 or 5 seats, those filled up. But any of the ones that had like 50 seats, those are still open and on wish lists and things like that. From what I saw,
yeah,
so that's pretty great. And I think it's also, someone's going to look up Matt Forbeck. Also, they put you on Friday night, so I think that's a competitive time. I imagine they put a lot of things then. So
yeah, and I was kind of like, oops, kind of like your experience with Game Hole Con, and this is not a bash at Game Hole Con, but they finally got you figured out and got you your table.
right.
They kind of finally got me figured out and got my spot because we're the new people, we're the new kids on the block.
Yeah,
Come next year, we'll run the fucking show and they'll bow before us. So
I don't, not me. I look forward to your rule. Now I think they are a small operation. I get that sense. A small volunteer operation. Like the website has the list of people who are there. I'm on the website now. I just got added this week, but it doesn't have anything about who I am. There's no like here's like 2 lines about what I've created. It doesn't tell me. It doesn't say if I'm an artist or an author because there are 83 booths, some of which are populated by, multiple booths can be populated by one organization. So like World of Game Design has 2 booths, for instance. So of those 83 tables, maybe there's 65 vendors. Then there's the author and artist section that kind of rings the back of the hall, it looks like. And there's 16 tables there, and I'll be at one of those. But there's no assignment yet. I'm not sure if it's, hey, artists,
you don't know if you're table 1 or table 16.
Right. No, not yet. I'm familiar with some of the artists and writers there. Jeff Easley specifically is one of the. I'll have my copy of Unearthed Arcana, which I will beg him to sign the cover of. I think that's one of the best illustrations in D&D ever.
Uh-huh.
That Guy Gaxian wizard in that lab with all.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Yeah.
But I'm really excited. It's my first gaming convention. The D&D stuff I've done, the D&D compatible stuff that I've done, Tales of the Valiant compatible stuff that I've done was a hit at Baltimore Comic Con. So I'm excited for how a gaming crowd likes it. It is interesting. There's so many games that are being played there that are not 5e that I don't know how this will be received. Like if everyone there is a Dungeon Crawl Classics person or a Morkborg, it'll be interesting to see how this is.
I think it'll be fine. Yeah.
I mean, it is the most popular of the systems. It's like writing something for Windows versus writing something for I don't know, Vectrex or
you'll be fine. And
yeah.
And then we're gonna you and I will figure out some way on how we're gonna do our Mazes and Muses show Sunday morning.
Yeah, I mean the hall opens at 10. It might be if you have a camera, and I'll just be working the booth. So
yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
If you do have a live convention, one of the things I was looking for specifically for Game Hall Con and every one of these conventions is I'm looking for someone who just walks through the hall with their camera. Like I want to see what this. I have no sense of what this show is like because I can't find photographs. I can't find a video walkthrough. I think that would be amazing to go look at all the cool stuff because that's what people want. They're not to exasperate their fear of missing out, but let them live vicariously through our adventure.
Okay, so I'll give you my GoPro and you can wander around.
I can, yeah.
Wear it on your head.
Nice. I'll balance it. I have that colander from my Ghostbusters cosplay, so I'll attach it to that.
There you go. All right, so we got Game Hole Con. You and I will both be there, and we're you got your table, I've got my show, and then we'll combine forces and do some fun and wreak havoc. And they will know who we are before the end of that show.
You go into these things with goals? That's interesting. I just want to meet people and just do lots of sketches and pay for my table. I have such modest goals at these things because I've never been there. I have no idea what to expect. I used to do plenty of comic book conventions, and like the Pittsburgh Comic-Con, I would go there. My stuff was never right for it. It was skulls, tattoo art, amazing. That kind of aesthetic of like if it's appropriate to be painted on the side of a van, amazing. We'll do great there. My cheesy sci-fi stuff never did well there. So I don't know. I have no idea what the aesthetic of the show is going to be, but I'm hopeful.
Well, our goal is to turn the aesthetic to your stuff.
Well, I will have the QR code because hopefully by then everything from Death Dealing is shipped. I'll have a few extra decks of cards at the booth, and I will table. I don't know. It's not a booth. The table. I don't know if it's a 6-foot table or 8-foot table. That's how little information I have right now. So we're going in blind. I think I get 2 chairs. I don't know if I get 2 chairs. I'm going to ask them for 2 chairs.
I'm going to need one.
Right, and or you're packing one. You're packing one of those folding lawn chairs.
Use one of those. Yeah, those camping chairs I take to my daughter's softball games.
It plus has the drink holder.
Yeah.
So
you see that meme GIF where the guy's on the chair. Yeah.
Well, the Aquaman, who's doing that, right? That's I don't know. I only know him as the guy from the Stargate Atlantis, Jason Momoa, who does that.
I didn't even know he was in Stargate Atlantis. I know him from Game of Thrones.
Oh, right. Oh no, he was Atlantis. He was suffering through Atlantis with everybody else. They had like a reunion during the pandemic, and it was like everybody but him. And the topic went to, wonder what he's doing now. Has anyone ever heard whatever happened to him?
All right, so Zoop Star Marshals, that's covered. Game Hole Con, we've got that. You've got your thing, and do you have a date on when your cards are arriving?
No. The vendor who's producing them warns everybody on their site, like with a blink tag, like from 1995, saying these all delivery dates are estimates. And the original estimate was I was going to get them at the end of August. So we're about 4 weeks beyond that initial estimate. So there's not really, I don't have a leg to stand on in terms of arguing. There's not like a refund policy or anything like that. They've had my $1,400 for months and months. So I'm just waiting. So everything else, all but everything that doesn't have a card deck is now packaged and sitting right there that hasn't been shipped already. So the last of those will go out Monday, and then I'm just waiting on the cards. And so I'm hoping that the boxes that I've ordered will be the right size. Otherwise I'm going to go broke on bubble wrap. The glory, the joy of being an indie publisher.
Yeah, I work in a warehouse, so I plan on stealing all my shipping material. Plain and simple. Hey, yeah, can you order these from Uline? I just do it. We
need it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my plan. And then maybe you run them through their postage machine too. So
I really think back to Game Hole, I really think it's going to be a weird show. Again, small hall, that's hard to say. Small hall, 60 plus vendors, 16 artists / writers, 4 days. People will walk through that hall and be done with it in day one, right? It's not like San Diego Comic-Con where you have 4 days and that's not enough time.
But most of the people are going to the show to play the games.
Right. So I think it's going to be weird. A lot of people will be there for 1 game or 2 games. They'll walk around the hall and we might not see them again. I don't know how many people buy 4-day passes.
I don't know. I've got my thing Friday night, then I'm free agent. I don't know what I signed up for or if I've signed up for anything. I forget. I've had blows to my head over the years, so my memory is shoddy at best.
I've had brain. So I would definitely set up for some games. I was looking at doing that. I don't want to get in the way of like meals and meeting people and stuff like that, but I'm like desperate to sign up for 1 or 2 games in the evening of.
Yeah, you and I will figure out. We'll ruin someone's game.
Ruin? Or make better.
Yeah. Here comes the Dan and Steve show.
You're an agent of chaos. I think this is going to be fun.
oh yeah. This. again, we may have been at shows before at the same time, but we've never been at shows together in any sort of capacity. So
Yeah, I'm low key and quiet, and you are going to be, I think, a force of nature. This is going to be a blast.
we'll see how this goes. Make or break. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I've just got to get I got to get 420 together. I got to get Wednesday's show together, and I've got to get Star Marshals out, and that's my plan.
That's good. That's good. I was trying to find out more this week about the 5e Nexus that Demiplane set up. That's their competitor, their alternative to D&D Beyond, where you can create your own characters. They let you sell books through their. They have third-party people who have books available from them, but they don't yet have an obvious channel that would allow me to sell my material through them.
Right.
But I'd be super excited for that. The idea that there's a place other than Drive Through RPG to sell my D&D books. Are there others that you have listed your books on? Do you list your D&D books or your D&D compatible books on Amazon? Do you list them through?
I haven't yet. No, it's just, again, everything I've done has just been Drive Through or D&D, the DM's Guild, which is the D&D focused Drive Through. But I saw that D&D Beyond introduced maps. Have you seen that?
No.
Introducing maps. This alpha feature allows DMs and players to participate in tactical gameplay together on D&D Beyond. It's a virtual table, it looks like.
Oh, right. I did hear about that because it was under the context of look what D&D is doing. Because it was like, wait, they've been working on the virtual tabletop, and here they are rolling out a mapping feature for.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a mapping feature. I think it might be more. I have no idea what it is.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, that's a good alternative because apparently there was also a alpha test, initial play test of the virtual tabletop of D&D's virtual tabletop, and people are like, they weren't fans of it. I don't know, maybe their expectations were a little too high based on some of those early trailers.
Right.
But people found it, people want that kind of isometric top view of things. I don't know how much people want to be able to manipulate miniature figures in 3D space. Although they did say that you could import figures, which makes me go, okay, how do I color STL files? How do I color these things so I can make these STLs available so people have their Intoximancer in that space?
Because I'm more of a theater of the mind guy, so I think this map feature might work for me.
Is it a top view kind of old school?
Yeah, it's just the printed, the maps, from the books. Like I'm looking at one from the Giants book right now.
Yeah, I think that's all you need.
Stormwreck Isle. Yeah.
Oh, so it's not an authoring tool. It is, here are maps if you want to play our adventures.
And then you can upload your own too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I guess I caught a little bit of slideshow this morning. I guess it can keep a combat log if you're playing using D&D Beyond dice rolling and all that stuff, and you've got your characters.
Wow.
So if you do D&D Beyond, this might be a game changer for me to utilize D&D Beyond.
Wow. Have you ever used Foundry or Roll20 or any of those?
I've played around with Roll20 a little bit, but it's kind of a learning curve, really.
Yeah.
And so I haven't used, and for the most part, my games are more theater of the mind.
Right.
You're about 30 feet. Well, how far? About 30 feet. Just,
Right.
Tell me what you want to do. And if it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, it doesn't,
Can my Eldritch Blast hit them from here? No. Yeah. Or yes. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not the tactical, where we get out, measure, and boom, 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 and do it. So,
right. Yeah.
But I know players that are, and that's good for them. So I think those virtual tabletops work more in the line of that. Again, the kind of dungeon master that I am, I like wiggle room in my story.
Right.
So theater of the mind works best for that.
That's great. Yeah, my dungeon master has been using Foundry for 2 years now, and the setup is a pain in the butt. I've done that a little bit where you put your map in. I basically faked it, like you can put in walls and do this fog of war. Like if you can see an area and then you move out of it so you can't see it anymore, it becomes hazy and you can't see the movement of figures over there. So there's things like line of sight. Characters can be moving and you don't know where they are. So we've done things in labyrinths, and building walls is a nightmare. So the games I ran, I'm like, here's the map, here's the grid. You can move your tokens, and it does measure things like as you move your token, it says, okay, you've moved 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, 30 feet. I'm just like, no, you can't see them from there. That blocks your view. So it is a bit more old school in that way, when you're putting your minis on the table and you can see things, but you shouldn't be able to see things from where your vantage point is. Can I see him from here? That sort of thing. So
right.
It is a little honor system-y, but without.
Which is the kind of games I enjoy. There should be an honor system. The players are all there for one good story, one good time, and if somebody wants to min max and rule lawyer the shit out of it, they're not really suited for my table, which is fine. Right. There are players like that, but that's what Warhammer's for. Go over there.
Right. Absolutely. Well,
I'm like, and a lot of times, I'm like, okay, here's the map. Conveniently, you happen to have found a map of the dungeon. So there you go. You don't know what's in each room, but you know the basic layout.
Yeah, one of the earliest games we played before we introduced Foundry into it, because my dungeon master is also kind of a tech head, so he wanted to play with this system. He wanted to have the icons. He wanted to master this new bit of tech. It was great because it was all the hall goes down 10 feet in front of you. The hall is 5 feet wide, and one of the other players, they had their graph paper out and they were mapping. It's real old school. We're talking 1983 kind of. Pencil and paper, you're drawing the map along with the adventure, and trying to make sure you get it right. I love it. And then at the end, it was like the two of them compared what the dungeon master's map looked like to his map. It's that old school awesome.
Yeah.
Old
school awesome. .com. There you go. Write that down.
I was gonna say, you need another website project.
Yeah.
It's Sunday morning. I've only created 5 new websites, and I just have 4020 on the other screen over here. Just that logo is so ridiculous. I love it.
Yeah, I debated whether or not to add the leaf images.
Oh no, it's perfect. And all I see is the word STEM.
Yeah, I noticed that too. But yeah, I worked on that for a day, and that was the winner.
Yeah,
the logo.
Nice. I spent some time yesterday. It's the dumbest thing in the world. These minis I'm sculpting are so tiny, but the cleric needs to have armor needs to have a pattern on it. Needs to have like embossed. And I created this stupid ornate thing to emboss all it will be like a stubble, because it's so fine. You'll never be able to see it on the sculpt at all. But that's what I did because I'm an idiot. More detail than it needs. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to start printing these things larger so people can see all the work I'm putting into them.
Yeah, it's good 12-inch action figures.
There's a printer, a 3D printer that I'm super excited for. It is not a resin printer, so it solves some of the degassing, not gate degassing. It solves some of the toxin problems of a resin printer and all the chemicals and the gloves and the ventilators.
That's why I do it. That's why I haven't done it yet. That's why
because you have the brain. So have you done it? Have you done it? Okay.
I haven't done it. It's set up on my table out in my garage, but
you have the lab. But
I've got the lab. I just haven't labbed anything yet.
Wasn't Fraley coming over to be Igor to your mad scientist?
I think I was going to be Igor to his mad scientist, but yeah, then such plans changed, and I haven't heard from him, or he hasn't been around, and which is fine. I mean, I'm not.
Life intrudes.
Yeah, I'm not dragging him out or calling him out on this. But yeah, it's just me. I've got 1,800 different projects, and resin printing's at the bottom.
Well, this is somewhat new machine. Maybe it's a year oldish. I don't know how long it started as a Kickstarter, and so there were early reviews coming out about a year ago. It's from Bamboo Labs, and it's X1 carbon, and it is a large machine. It's got a 10-inch platform, and it has a 10-inch tall, 10-inch wide build area, and it's super fast. It's contained. It's not one of those open platforms that wiggle around. And it's super fast, and it has a multi what do you call it? It was like a AMS, automatic material switching. So you have 4 spools above the machine, and it will print up to 4 colors. You can sequence them, so you can have up to 16 colors, and the thing will print in 16 colors. Now, the weirdest thing about it is how wasteful it is, because as it gets to the part of the figure where it's like it starts sculpting, this is me, so all beige material till you get to the eyeball, and you need white material to come out of the spigot of the printer. It gets to that point, it's got to change the hot material coming out of the spigot. So it stops, goes over here, dispenses the material out of the nozzle, loads new material, has to warm that up, and then puts a little bit of the eyeball in, and then gets past the eyeball, more beige material. Has to do all that. There's so much little bit of wasteful.
All right, well, maybe pass on the eye colors and just paint those.
Right, exactly. So it's just a weird thing that I don't know, if you decide to do pinstriping on something, God forbid, if you decided to do at least simple piping on someone's outfit, it can be really, really wasteful. And there's another cheaper one they came up with. I don't think this one's out yet. It's Bamboo Labs as well. It's a $300 model. It's not encased, and it just chucks the loose spaghetti filament to the side of the machine. It actually slides over and taps twice, and the thing shoots off the side. And the Tested Labs, Adam Savage's YouTube show, they did a good review of it, and you just see this pile of plastic scraps next to the printer, but it's super fast. I'm so totally excited about that. At some point, I have to have one of those machines. So I need to set up let's start a GoFundMe.
Well, like I said, I've had mine for almost 9 months now and have yet to utilize it. So you will probably get yours and set it up and have finished product before I get around to doing it.
I thought you were going to make the Star Marshals badges with that thing.
Well, I could, but I just decided I would just send out the STL files to all my backers and let them worry about it.
So did you print the one you had, or did you? So you didn't print the one you had?
No, I went on Etsy and paid somebody.
That's smart.
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like $5 a piece.
Oh, that's good. There was someone was talking about that, like a mini manufacturers, like, are you worried about 3D printing replacing you? I think, nah, you have to be an engineer and a chemist and or you could just be me and hire me to do it. And I'm like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. And it's become easier for them because that's what they use now rather than sculpting and molding and
right. Yeah.
So it's I mean, I have friends that have a ton of miniatures. My intern Jesse got his up and running. He's been making an army of goblins. So
with a resin printer.
Yeah, so I got to get him to come over and teach me how to do it. So
that's awesome. He's local.
Yeah,
that's great. That's great.
I work with him during the day, so.
Oh, okay.
Monday through Friday. So yeah.
Gotcha. He's the guy who sometimes travels with you to the comedy shows. Gotcha.
Yep. So yeah, he'll teach me how to do the 3D, and he's just like, it's so simple, just do this. But I'm like,
yeah. It's simple. It's like 3D modeling, Dan. You give it a shot. It's simple for people with, 500 hours or 1,000 hours experience. It's
hard. I find Roll20 too hard to set up. So.
Well, that's awesome. So you mentioned possibly doing a crowdfunding campaign for 4020. At one point you were talking about launching that on April 20th. Is that still the idea, or would the idea be that you want to do it for, I'm still asking about Zine Quest. What are you doing for Zine
I'm not
Quest?
doing it for Zine Quest. Okay. It'll be its own thing. Like I said, it'll be 4 books of 20 pages each type of thing.
Gotcha. And it might be backer kit.
Yeah, it might be backer kit if I go that route. I might just say, hey, here it is. Come buy it,
Right.
But the crowdfunding works good. It's a good promotional tool, or it can be a good promotional tool, I think. I mean, something will obviously do better if it's on Kickstarter, not just because it's crowdfunding, but it's getting out in front of people if you say it's on Kickstarter. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no barrier to entry because most people by now already have a Kickstarter account, right? So if you said going to Zoop, I never I had never had an account with them until your campaign started. So there was that additional hurdle of setting up an account.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like I could use the card on file. I got to enter a new card into a company I don't know. All that stuff like raises red flags with me. I'm like, do I want to create a new account? Am I using Apple's hide my email feature? Will that be a pain in the ass for collecting digital rewards later? So there's all those.
And when I sign up for these things, I'm like, sure, blah 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 blah. Here you go, whatever. I ordered a new Titans hat yesterday. I may or may not have given all my information to China, and I don't even know if the order went through because the size I needed.
I don't know why I had to upload pictures of my kids and sign likeness rights away, but
I'm just like, whatever. Here, sure. You want this? Go take it.
But it is a barrier to entry for some people to at least the hurdles you have to jump through to create a new account and get the confirmation email, blah blah blah. So Kickstarter has that advantage, but someone was saying it was Teos Abadia over on Mastering Dungeons again was saying that there's a bunch of Kickstarters right now where he thought they would be doing much better and they hadn't hit their goal yet. And I think as these other systems kind of collapse, like the direct market for comic books, as those systems kind of struggle, how about that? Let's not call it collapse. How they tighten. That drives people over to crowdfunding, and so there's way more competition there. So the comic section is filling up with stuff, and now the TTRPG stuff that's filling up with AI garbage. I had to send a note to Kickstarter this week. I didn't have to. Someone was mentioning in my Twitch stream that there's this one TTRPG project. I think it's a 5e supplement that is written by ChatGPT, illustrated by Midjourney, edited by another AI, the whole thing. And they proudly 100% AI created. And I'm like, I had to write them like, this is not your mission. AI is fine in the tech space, but in the role-playing game space, no, it's going to crowd out fledgling creators. It's going to flood the system, because if everybody can go on there, what happened was on August 29th, Kickstarter changed their rules. Up until then, no AI. We're for creators.
Right.
On the 29th, they said you can have AI, just have to label it as such. And I understand in the tech space, the Bamboo 3D printer has an AI thing that helps detect whether spaghetti's happening on the printer. Like if there's no cohesion on the filament and it just starts creating all this loose plastic, that AI is meant to detect that and tell you on your phone, hey, do you want to pause printing? That's so different than someone creating a whole book, let alone this is like the fourth project from this creator in a month. So if they're going to keep churning out AI, hey, make a book about, a 5e supplement for weed, weed-based bards. Just spit one out. And then Midjourney, you can have a book done in what, 3-4 hours?
Yeah.
You're going to flood Kickstarter. It will be impossible to find stuff.
Yeah, and the quality is just not going to be there.
Right, and most people don't know because the AI images create this veneer of professionalism that most people, when you're looking at it in a thumbnail on the screen, you're like, oh, that looks pretty good. And then only when you see it large, you're like, what is this American Horror Story AI?
8 fingers.
Yeah. But again, in fantasy, that's fine. If it's a bunch of demons, you just make it all grim, dark, and demons, and suddenly all that Clive Barker, it has this Clive Barkery veneer to everything. And is that badly drawn or just blurry? I don't know. It's a mess and a real risk to fledgling TTRPG. I feel very fortunate to have gotten in when I did. I'm adding it to the. I'm adding a line about human made to the meta domain project, and I feel like that's important for people to say that it's just for all the young creators. We just feel bad for them.
Yep, I hear you. All right, everybody just left my house, and my dog's going to freak out.
So do you have to? We going to call it early so you can spend some time to.
We might call it early. Yeah. I think we'll definitely have to explore the AI issue more. I mean, I'm not for it either, and you're not for it, obviously. Like you said, it has its work, but not in You shouldn't use AI to roam the labyrinth of creativity, is what we're saying.
It isn't creative. It isn't creative. It's not a.
It's not an art.
It is the pink slime of productivity. It's not. It's a productivity tool. It's not a creativity tool. It makes things. It spits them out. You don't know what you're getting. At least Picard knew he was getting tea, Earl Grey tea hot. This is these AI things are like beverage, and that's you get what you get, and then you're like, hey, look what I made, and it's a lie. It's deceitful. It's awful. It's no opportunity. Necessity is the mother of invention. There's no necessity here. There's never going to be any creative element to it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it, Dan.
I hear you.
So I'm rambling. I'm sorry. And if the AI enthusiast in the chat, I apologize that I'm stepping on your dreams. But drawing and creating is fun. And it is fun to do. And I hope people don't give it up because they have to make a buck. You miss out on all the fun.
They don't have to make a buck. They're just being lazy.
Well, no, they have to make a buck. They have to. Yes, you could say it's laziness, but it's often laziness in service of just trying to get through the weekend and just trying to make the bills and make rent and hopefully one day have a house. All these things that are getting harder and harder and more further and further out of reach for people. I understand the desperation. It's what causes people to want this. I have corporate clients who are like, and I do comics for them, and they're like, well, have you looked into the options for AI? And I'm like, it's not why you hire me. You know, if anybody could just type it in, anybody can. You know, you hire me specifically for the experience I bring to it, the talent I bring to it, the perspective I bring to it, and this has none of that. And yeah, and you know, so we make the argument now that you can't copyright it yet, and they're like, well, if you tweak it a little bit, like who knows how to tweak it? You need to have people with talent who know what's. you're gonna have overpriced tweakers, and which maybe that's another domain name we have.
Yeah, I was just gonna write that down to overpricedtweakers.com.
I'm done rambling. I promise. I'm done rambling.
Okay. Yeah, this AI will be a big discussion as far as creativity goes forever until either they take over or we squash their.
Yeah. The T1000's at my door.
Yeah. All right. So next week is a regular week, I think, right?
Hopefully. I think so.
Yeah, I'll have news on I'll have an I'll tell you about what happened Wednesday in Knoxville. And by then, the PDF should be in hands of Star Marshal PDF should be in hands of backers.
That's
so great. We'll see what the initials, and hopefully I'll have the PDF up for sale, on various means. But yeah, and there should be at the printer, so the update on that. We'll have more update on what's happening for Gamehole Con, and I will hopefully have more D&D's zero level media information to lots of I don't know stirs in the pots on the burner things going on, but that's me.
Yeah, that's always you. You have like 100 burners, and you're like that short order cook who seems to have I got this, I got this. Nothing's burning. That's good. That's good.
May not be burning, but who knows how it tastes. Okay, I'm out of here.
All right, have a great week, Dan. Hopefully I have decks of cards to show you a week from now. Fingers crossed, and have a lovely week.
I will talk to you later. Tighten up, go Titans. You're playing the Browns today, and may you all make your saving.